Hello, hello, hello. It is just about noon, so it is lunchtime, my lunch break. About to head into this Mariano's to get a salad for lunch and use the restroom because the problem with all this COVID and being out in the field is that there's nowhere to go to the bathroom. Really weird, but there's something specifically I wanted to come on here and talk about today. I was listening to Rachel Hollis's live stream this morning. She was mostly taking questions, but someone had asked a question about finding yourself, that you feel that you're lost in finding yourself. And I just felt like this was a really great topic to talk about today, right? Because ever since I became a single mom, so back in 2006, I have felt like I've lost who I am. And that's just how I felt becoming a mom. That's a pretty normal thing. That's just when I've been through the domestic violence with my son's father, my biological father, I've just always felt like I didn't know who I was anymore. And I felt like that for 14 years. And what Rachel said this morning that really, really resonated with me was think about who you were before you were worried about pleasing other people, before you were worried about being cool, before. So what I think about what I loved when I was younger, like back to like age 7, all the way through college and even in my early 20s, what I loved most was horseback riding. So, I begged my parents for lessons, probably starting when I was about 4 years old. I begged my parents for horseback riding lessons. I don't know if people know this about me, but I begged my parents for horseback riding lessons. I was obsessed with My Little Ponies. I was obsessed with Saddle Club book series. If you're a child of the 80s and 90s, you know what I'm talking about. So this is just something that I was like, I just loved horses, and what I wanted more than anything was a horse in my backyard. That is just like what I wanted. And finally, when I was 7, my parents gave in and let me take horseback riding lessons. So that's kind of where it all started. Back at Saunders Stables, Arlene and Steve Saunders, for those of you that know me from horse show days, that is where we first started taking horseback riding lessons. And obviously, the love of horses grew and grew. And then Christmas, when I was 9, so in 1989, I got my first horse. Her name was Ellen Fire Magic. She was a gray purebred Arabian mare, saddle seat English horse, for those of you that are in the Arabian industry at all. And that was my Christmas present. Like, that is what I wanted most of all, was my own horse. And, that progressed to building a horse barn in our backyard. My parents live on 5 acres. So built a 6-stall horse barn. That led to buying more horses, more competitive horses. That led to buying a stallion and doing breeding and buying brood mares and having foals and breeding our own horses. And that is what really happened to me in my life in the 90s. When I was 13, I started working at the horse farm, cleaning stalls, being a horse groom, going to horse shows and being a groom, sleeping at the barn for horse shows. That was like what I wanted, and I wanted to be a vet. That's what I wanted to do for my career. But in high school, I shadowed a vet for a summer, and it just wasn't for me, right? Putting a horse down, doing autopsies on animals, it just wasn't for me. So I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to be a horse trainer. I'm going to have my own horse farm, breed and train horses. Like, that was my dream. Like, that's what I wanted to do when I was like 16, 17, 18 years old. So I went away to UW River Falls when I graduated to get an animal science degree. And a bit equine business emphasis is what I did when I was 18. It was between UW River Falls and University of Minnesota Crookston. But Crookston was like 12 hours away, and I just couldn't do it. So I went to the one that was 5 hours away. And it was great. I was on the horseback riding team in college. I had so many friends in the horse program with me. But then I started to struggle, right? I started to drink too much. I started to miss my classes. I started to just struggle with addiction, met an abusive boyfriend, ended up getting kicked out of college, couldn't pass animal physiology, even though I took it twice. I just could not pass it, and I needed that class to get my degree, so I never, ever finished my degree. So I got kicked out of college, I moved to Minneapolis, I worked at the airport, and then I found this amazing opportunity to go to Arizona and be a barn manager, horse trainer, place where they had Arabian horses, showed Arabian horses, bred Arabian horses, sold Arabian horses. Like, it was in Tucson, Arizona. It was like my dream. That was in 2014, so I was 24. But that crashed and burned. My addiction was still controlling my life. I was still drinking too much. I missed my family. I missed my friends. I left. And that was, we had horses at my parents' house for a few more years, but, we sold horses. The horses died, and we just kind of got out of horses. And it's just something that I loved and I really, really miss. So I don't know if this is crazy or not, but I'm not concerned buying a horse or any of that stuff, but find some place to just ride. Even if any of my horse friends are still local to me, let me come ride their horse. Like, I think I just need to get back on a horse. So I have to figure out sometime in September, I am getting back on a horse. Because that is what I used to love that I've given up, and it makes me sad, and I miss it. I miss it so much. And I feel like I gave up on my dreams when I got pregnant, and just gave up. And I don't like that. So I just felt like I couldn't afford it anymore. I just felt like there was things that were higher priorities. So here's my question for you. Send me a message. Do you have something that you used to love that you gave up? I think you can find that again. So that's my deep thought for Friday. So bye, guys.